Hi all, it's PJ with Montevilla Sewing Centers, and today we're going to talk about water-soluble stabilizers. The link to the stabilizer cheat sheet is in the video description below. Wash-away or water-soluble stabilizers are usually used when all traces of the stabilizer must be removed. In water-soluble stabilizers, there are three types. So the first type is a topping, which is going to go over your embroidery. And what a topping does is it helps to keep the stitches above the loft of your fabric. The most common use of a topping is on a knit or a fleece where the stitches can sink in. The topping will help the stitches from sinking in. And I have a couple examples to show you. I'm not sure how well they'll show up on the camera, but I will show them to you. So that's the first type, the water-soluble toppings. And it goes completely away when you wash. The second type is this, which is what I call a mesh type. This is the mesh type of water-soluble stabilizer, and it's kind of like a non-woven. And again, completely washes away. And then this is the third type. This is what I call the plasticky type, and this is Badge Master. And it's like a really heavy plastic. And there are advantages and disadvantages to both of them. One thing that I like to do is use the mesh type and the Badge Master together, because again, they both kind of do different things. The mesh type will hold up a lot of stitches without getting distorted or breaking away. The Badge Master, because it is basically like plastic, except it's a dissolvable material, if you had a lot of needle penetrations in here, this could actually break away. So if you use them in conjunction, it works out really, really well. This is just a little bit of clarification about lace designs and freestanding lace designs. A freestanding lace design is digitized in a specific manner to allow for the stabilizer to be completely removed. It will hold up even when all of the stabilizer has been completely washed away. So just note that not all lacy designs are freestanding lace. In the instructions that you get with your design, it should specify whether it's freestanding lace or it's not. And if it is freestanding lace, it will say to use the wash-away stabilizers. Let's look at a couple of examples and why you would use a wash-away stabilizer. This first, and probably one of the more common reasons that you would use a wash-away stabilizer, is to make lace. And this is one of the OESD designs, and it's multiple parts, but you can see that it's just a little lace panel. And then you put all the panels together, there's a little top. Here's another, possibly a little more common than using lace to make something, is just a lace embellishment. You could put this onto a shirt or just like apparel lace, if you will. So this is what it looks like when it is stitched out. And on this, because you would possibly see both sides, I've used a matching bobbin. And 2 layers, this is just the mesh style of lace, or mesh type of stabilizer, water soluble. So once this is completely rinsed out, you would have this. Here is perhaps not quite as common of a use for the water solubles. Here you can see that I've stitched out this design. This is organza, and this would be in case you wanted to, say, do sheer curtains or a curtain liner. Here's your water soluble. And then I've stitched the design. And then here I've completely rinsed away all of the stabilizer, and you can see that just the design is left. The organza is sturdy enough to hold up the design without having any of the stabilizer left in there. You would not want to do a really, really dense design. And I do have an example of that. So here's a very dense design. This is with it stitched out before this water soluble has been removed. And it didn't look too awfully bad. There's a little bit of a wrinkle right here. Again, I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera. This is what it looks like after the stabilizer was washed out. And you can see there's a huge wrinkle here. So this design was really too dense to have been stitched on just organza, knowing that all that water soluble is going to be rinsed away. So you would need, if you were going to do something like this for shears, you would need a fairly lightweight design. As a general rule, your fabric will need to be able to hold up to the design you're stitching on it when using a water-soluble stabilizer, because when you wash away that stabilizer, it's only going to be the fabric that's holding up that design. So here's another really good example of why you might want to use a water-soluble. This is a flour sack towel, and this is just a run line design, and I don't want any stabilizer left in once I'm done with this. This is a perfect use for a sticky or a tacky stabilizer. You could hoop up your tacky stabilizer, and then I would just put a guide stitch in so that you knew where to place your towel. And then you could place your towel here along your guideline and then stick it down to the tacky stabilizer. Stitch your design and then rinse out all of the stabilizer. And you would just be left with your nice embroidery with no stabilizer on the back whatsoever. Again, because this is just a red work design. It's a triple run, so it's a very lightweight design. You couldn't get away with doing this on something that's really, really heavy. Here's another example. Again, the panel was stitched, and this I stitched on one layer of the mesh with one layer of the Badge Master. The Badge Master does not rinse away quite as quickly as the mesh style. And so for something like this where you want a little bit of stiffness left in your lace, that's why the Badge Master is a really good choice. If you were doing lace for apparel, I would just run with 2 layers of the mesh style. This is a little tip about your water solubles. So this is whether it be a stabilizer, a thread, a water soluble tape. You should always store it in a zip top bag to keep the air out of it. With your toppings, if they're exposed to air over a long time, they can actually get really crunchy. They should be soft and pliable. But also, if you live in a humid area or your sewing room or where you store your stabilizers happens to be very humid, the water-soluble products can pick up the moisture out of the air, and you could end up with just a whole bunch of goopy stabilizer. It could get all stuck together. So just store it in a zip top bag. And as a general rule, all of your stabilizers, and including your thread, in a cool, dry place out of direct sunlight. So that's it for the water-soluble stabilizers.